So it's been about 8 months or so, maybe, I don't know, since I broke my elbow. Um, it's not broken anymore, but it pretty much should be because this is basically as far as it can go. The other arm is normal. This one's just like not doing it. And I realized that I've told people about how I broke my elbow, but I feel like it's a big story that like everybody should know how I broke my elbow, so I'm just gonna go into it. Not that anybody cares because like I'm not that interesting, but you know what? No, I am fucking interesting because everything always ends up happening to me, so I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna say it. So what happened to me was me and my friend, we were at her house one day and we decided, hey, we should definitely go on a vacation. Like, we went on a vacation a few years ago and we're just like, yeah, let's do one again. So we booked a trip for a week from then to go to Dominican Republic. And so we were like, oh yeah, like let's definitely do this. So we get all ready, we go, we get there. The first day that we get there, it was a really early morning flight, so we didn't really want to do too much that day. We were kind of exhausted, so we drank a bit, went to bed, whatever. We watched the show. That was kind of just the whole day. We were pretty tired the next day. We got up. We decided to have a fun day. We went swimming, sun tanning, just like a normal day on an all-inclusive. This was day 2, and that day we just started drinking all day because it's all inclusive. Like, how are you not gonna drink? So we're just drinking. I think I started the day out with like a ton of rum and cokes, just drinking a ton of that, having a good time, anything we can get. And then when we went to dinner, we went to one of those like the fancier restaurant things there. And so we went. I didn't drink wine. I hate wine. I didn't like wine. But my friend loves wine. So when we ordered, I had a steak dinner and I was just like, oh, like I guess I'll have wine with it because it's like fancy, right? So they pour me a glass of white wine, and I'm trying to drink it. I'm just like, oh, I don't know, I don't like it. Suddenly, it ended up being like 3 bottles worth of alcohol, like of white wine that I consumed. But that's not the point. Anyways, now I love white wine, but that's the only good thing that came out of this vacation. But what was happening was I didn't get any health insurance. We didn't get health insurance. And I have Crohn's disease, but I was like, it's fine. I just had my medication. I'm not going to be sick. I'm going to be fine. It's not a problem. And we were talking about this at dinner. We were just like, we're healthy. Like, what's going to happen to us? Nothing's going to happen to us. And you should never say that because honestly, this jinxed it for real. I swear, just talking about it, just being like, yeah, we don't need it. Why would I need health insurance? We're fine. And so, yeah, we finish all our wine. I'm so drunk at this point. But my friend is vegan, and there wasn't a lot for her to eat at that restaurant. I think they gave her, like, a few vegetables. So we went down to the buffet after, and I was like, oh, I'm always hungry, so, like, I had another dinner. But we just kept drinking more wine. They kept pouring wine, refilling, right? Finally, it's like, I don't know, 10 p.m. We're the only ones left in the buffet, and this waiter comes along, and he keeps pouring wine, right? And he comes up to us, and he just keeps saying, wow, you girls are so beautiful. You're so beautiful. And I'm like, thank you so much. Wow. And he's like, will you be my girlfriend? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So I think his name was Marvin, Marlin. So it was, I don't know. Emma would know. It was something like that. It was like Marlin or something. Malvin, something. So he kept coming over, bringing us wine. He'd be like, you're so beautiful. Can I kiss you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So that happened a few times, and then when we were leaving, we were pretty fucked up. And he was like, will you go to the disco with me tonight? And I was like, yeah, like the one at the beach, right? And he's like, no, we, me and my friend, there's one nearby, it's off resort, but we would really like to go to it. Would you come with us? And we were like, well, we'll think about it, like whatever. He's like, okay, meet me at 11 at the front of the hotel, like at the lobby. We're like, okay, sure, because we're 2 stupid dumb bitches, right? And so we go and get ready. We're like putting on cute little outfits and stuff. We're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go meet him. Let's see what's up. 11 o'clock goes by. We go to the front. Sure enough, Marvin's there. And he's like, yeah, I brought a friend for your friend because Malvin, he wanted to be my boyfriend. So he's like, yeah, I brought someone for your friend. So we're walking off resort, holding hands, walking to the thing. It felt like we walked forever. We leave like the premises, we're on just like this random ass road, and finally we get near like a plaza, and there was like a disco in the plaza, we were supposed to go to that disco. So we're like, okay, cool, we're at a disco, which is where we were supposed to be. And then he leaves us at this little patio furniture, and him and his friend are like, we just need to go and talk for a second. And we're like, yeah, sure. So we're sitting there, we're like really, really drunk. We're like, yeah, like this is fun. Like we're having a good time. I just want to dance, blah, blah, blah. And these guys come back. And so Marlon brings me away, and the other guy brings Emma away. And we're just like kind of separating to the side. And we're like looking at each other kind of like, wait, why, where is she going? Like, I don't understand. And so we're in the parking lot. And we're thinking we're going to this disco, but they start like, you know, pushing us away from each other and like making out with us and whatever. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, but you know, maybe they just want to hook up with us. Like, you know, we're probably still gonna go to this disco. I don't know. We just really wanted to dance. And so they start like pushing us away from each other on opposite side of the parking lot. And then me and Emma are like, no, we want to be near each other. Like, can we be near each other? I don't want to be away from her. So they like kind of bring us closer together, and they're like, give us a second, like we have to go talk again, whatever. So they go and talk, and me and Emma are like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I don't understand what's going on. Why are they taking us away? Why are they bringing us towards cars? Like, I don't like what's happening. We're not even going into this disco at this point. So they come back, and me and Emma are just like holding hands because we're like, something seems a little off about this. And they bring us into the direction of the park, like into the parking lot, into deeper against this like truck. And so me and Emma are holding hands. They're like propping us against this truck, like making out with us, putting their hands in our pants. I don't know if that happened to her, but that happened to me. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on at this point. We're definitely not going into this disco. Are we getting like kidnapped? Are they trying to take us? Because they just kept pushing us towards these cars. There were other people, like, in the parking lot. I don't even know. It was just, like, a really weird scenario. Something didn't seem right about it. So we're holding hands, and me and Emma start squeezing each other's hands. And in my mind, I was like, okay, like, signal, like, you know, we need to figure this out. We need to figure this out. I watch a lot of Dateline. I watch a lot of, like, murder mysteries, a lot of, you know, human trafficking things. I love Dateline. I love that kind of stuff. So, like, I thought quick on my feet, even though I'm, like, a little drunk. I have my phone in my back pocket. I pick it up like I pretend to get a phone call, and I'm just like, hello? Yeah, and I'm like talking on the phone, and then I hang up, and Emma's looking at me, right, and they're all kind of like staring at me, and I was like, oh my god, that was my little sister, her friends. They called me. We all came on vacation here. She just turned 18. She's really drunk. It's her first time drunk. She's throwing up. Like, I need to go see her. My mom's gonna kill me if I don't. Like, they know I'm out here, and they're gonna be pissed if I stay at this disco and don't go back. And I just like keep saying all the things that like they, you know, for them to hear, like, people know where I am, I have someone accounted for at home, like a bunch of things like that, right? And so he's like, oh, like they know you're here. And we're like, yeah, my little sister Cassandra. Like, I don't even have a little sister, but you know, just I thought about what could work. And so they're like, okay, well, you know, like, do you have to go back? And we're like, yes, like we have to go back. I have to go. He's like, okay, fine. So we like run back to the resort, and as soon as we get in the resort, we're all like laughing around, we're smiling, we're like, oh yeah, we're safe, like good thinking, whatever, go back to the room. What the fuck do you mean? Like, what do you...
Let's go to a disco. It's not a disco, it's a parking lot.
I don't want to get fingered in the parking lot of Dominican. Like, I'm just not into it right now. Go to a little mini bar, like there's like beer bottles, like random shit in there. We're just like starting to get ready. We're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, like second day in Dominican, like we almost got human trafficked, but we didn't. We're running around, we're like, this is so great, like let's go to the beach disco, because we're not done yet, like we're still having a good night. It's probably like midnight at this point, I think, maybe. So we're like, yeah. So we walk to the beach, and then we go to the bar, which is like at the disco, and I think we were ordering Long Island iced teas. At this point, we should have stopped drinking hours ago. Like, we were fucked up. I get drunk, but like this was drunk. And so yeah, so we start doing that. We're going up to the DJ, like requesting them to play like Nicki Minaj and other music, and they're just like, no, we'll play whatever we want to play. We're like, okay, well, we tried to like dance to whatever. No one was dancing, no one was having a good time. We're like, what the fuck, this is like a pretty boring disco. So we went to the beach. We took ourselves to the beach. We started playing music on our phones and like just dancing and like, oh god, doing like gymnastics, like pole dancing on things, like just the worst kind of shit possible. Like, it was ugly, but You know, at the time we were having so much fun. We were so drunk. I have videos of like us doing flips, us doing cartwheels, just oh my god, so drunk. And everyone is like, this is all on Snapchat. Like, everyone at home is seeing it because I had service down there, and so like I'm posting everything. Everyone's just like going off, being like, ugh. I had friends at home that I didn't know, but they were just like watching it, being like, "You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt." Like doing cartwheels and stuff. Finally, my dumbass is probably like 1 a.m. at this point. I see a tree, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to climb this tree. It's so climbable. It's a palm tree on the sand. It's one of those palm trees. It doesn't go straight up. It's like curves and does shit. So it's like 2 feet off the ground. I'm like, oh, I can sit on that for sure. It'll be fun." So we're climbing on these trees, and then there's this video, but you can't really tell because it's pitch black, but I climb up this 2-foot tall tree, and you can hear me scream and hit the ground. I fell. I can't! I can't! Yes, I fell and landed completely on my elbow. So I'm like, ow, like, that was no fun. And I get up and I'm just like, man, ow, my arm hurts. But, like, it's probably fine. And so I'm kind of just, like, over the trees. And I'm like, man, maybe we should go back to the disco and, like, drink more. So we go back. We order more drinks. I'm walking around. My arm still hurts, though. I'm just like, man, this really, really hurts. Like, I couldn't really move it. So we're like, maybe we should call it a night. We start heading back to our room. And I don't know if maybe the alcohol hit me at that point where, like, I just don't remember the rest, but the only things I remember is, like, being back at the room and, like, screaming in pain because my arm hurt. And then I think Emma went to go get another blanket because I'm pretty sure they only had, like, one blanket in the room. And she came back with this guy, and she was like, yeah, I told him about your arm, and he thinks that we should go to the hospital. And I'm like, no, we can't go to the hospital. My arm is fine. I can't afford to go to the hospital. Like, we're not going to the hospital. And then eventually my arm was in so much pain that they brought me to the doctor in the hotel. And so we're there, 3 a.m. I'm screaming and crying in pain. I'm so drunk. They're just like, oh, what happened? I'm like, I fell out of a tree. They give me a needle in my ass. They, like, check my temperature on my armpit. They're like, yeah, I think it's broken. They give me, like, a little, like, little sleeve to put my arm in. I can't think of the name of it right now. And yeah, so Emma's like, we need to call your mom. I'm like, oh my god, no, I don't want to call my mom. She's gonna be like, what the fuck? So we call my mom, and I call her. I'm like, Mom, I think I broke my arm. And she's on the phone. It's like, you know, 3:30 in the morning in Toronto, and she's just like, are you fucking serious? You broke your arm? Don't go to the hospital, Carrie. Come home. I'm like, I'm not coming home. It's the second day on vacation. I'm not coming home. Like, it's probably not even broken. Like, it's probably just fine. And she's like, okay, well, don't go to the hospital. You need to go to bed. Like, you know, you'll feel better. It's probably not broken. I'm like, you're right, whatever. So, because I didn't have health insurance, that meeting with the doctor that lasted like 10 minutes where, you know, they were like, here's a little, like, sling. I think that's what it's called, sling. Here's a shot in your ass, which I think, like, made me feel pretty good. And, like, a Tylenol. That was, like, $350 American. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to the hospital because I can't do that. The next morning I wake up, oh my god, I am fucked up. My arm is, like, swollen. I can't move it. I'm laying there. I'm just like this. Like, I'm holding it on. I'm like, I can't move. So we go back to the thing, and we're like, fuck, like, we have to go to the hospital. So they get an ambulance.
Carrie broke her fucking arm.
I fell out of a tree, and now I'm in an ambulance going to the hospital. I call my mom. I'm like, I'm going to the hospital in Dominican. It was the most insane experience of my entire life. I'm in this fucking ambulance. Me and Emma, we're driving through the streets of, like, Puerto Plata. They bring us to some, like, hospital, but it's beside the hospital, and it's like, you go to pay first. They bring us into a room. They're like, yeah, it's gonna show up on your credit card as, like, you know, $38,000, but don't worry, that's, like, the Dominican price or something. I'm like, okay, sure. And they're like, yeah, it's probably gonna cost, like, 5,000 American. I'm just like, fuck, okay, sure. So we go, we're waiting to be seen, and I feel so bad because there's, like, obviously a full hospital full of people that need to be seen, and they're just, like, bypassing me, and I'm like, fuck, I hate this. This is horrible. I'm so sorry. They bring me in. They're like, yeah, we need to do an x-ray. And I've had x-rays before. I've broken a bone before, the same arm, in Canada. And I know x-rays, you know, I do them. They're very, like, gentle. These fucking people, First of all, the x-ray machine was like set at a certain angle, and they're just like slapping on my arm. They're moving it around. I'm screaming in pain. They didn't ask me if I was pregnant. I'm not, but like they didn't ask me. Emma was in the room. The whole thing was just like, honestly, it felt like a scene out of Saw. And so I'm screaming, and they give me like a CD disc. They're like, yeah, your arm is broken. I'm like, cool. Like, can you show me the thing? But no, that was just it. So they bring me up to this room, and me and Emma are sitting on this bed, and we're just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, the second day, this doctor comes in with like this bowl of water and like plaster. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to put a cast on your arm. And Emma had to help. So he's like wrapping my arm up with something. And then him and Emma both put this plaster on my arm like this. And then wrap the rest off with soft stuff. And then, you know, so my arm was literally just in a full cast like this the whole rest of the trip. And so after that, they're like, yeah, okay, you can just go back to the resort and see what's up. And so I called my, like, family home. And I was like, I FaceTimed, like, with a full cast. Like, yeah, I broke my elbow. Everyone at home is just like, you broke your elbow? What the fuck is going on? Really? Like, you broke your elbow out of a, how'd you do it? And I'm like, oh, I climbed a palm tree. So people are thinking like, oh, wow, you climbed a palm tree and you fell out? Like, wow. And I'm like, yeah, I fell out of a palm tree, you know? And like, realistically, I fell out of a 2-foot tall palm tree into sand. But landed on my elbow, and I guess all my weight was just like, not a thing, you know? So the rest of the trip, I had a full broken arm, but it didn't stop me from doing anything. I'm still sunbathing. I'm like in a bikini with a huge fucking thing. I'm in the pool, but like keeping it above the water, and it was fine. The rest of the trip was okay. It was like, you know, obviously a little annoying and sore. It was really, really sore. But getting home was like the biggest experience ever. They almost didn't let me on a plane. They separated me and Emma for like 2 hours at the airport. Brought me in the back. They're like, wow, we don't know if you can get on a plane. I'm like, what do you mean I can't get on? They're like, no, like your arm. I'm like, yeah, I know. I need to get to a hospital in Canada. They're like, well, you might have to stay. I'm like, no, I'm not staying. I can't afford to stay. How the fuck am I going to stay here? Like, I need to go home. So eventually, you know, after like crying for hours, they're like, okay, fine, but you have to take a painkiller. Like, no problem. Why couldn't you have told me this hours ago? Now I'm stressed out. So I took a painkiller and like 2 or 3 Ativan. So I'm fucked up getting on this plane. So I go home. Everything's fine, but the next morning I go to the hospital, or that day I go to the hospital when I land, and I'm like, can you tell me really if my arm is broken or what's going on? Because like I really need to know. And so the next morning I go after my x-ray, and they're like, yeah, it's broken, but like you don't need to be in a cast. Like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, no, don't be in a cast. For a broken elbow, you shouldn't be in a cast. Like, you need to move it around as much as possible. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I just had it in a cast for a week. They're like, yeah, the best thing is water. Swim in water. I'm like, I was in the Dominican. You mean I could have been swimming that whole time? Like, are you serious? So for the next 3 weeks, my homework was to try to bend my arm, and so like, you know, my arm's like in a little sling still, but sometimes I take it out and move it. It was so painful. I had this nasty like black, purple, yellow bruise all through here. It was just disgusting. 3 weeks went by, you know, me doing this. I'm doing the most insane things. I did a whole like water obstacle course with it. Like, I went places, I'm driving, you know, like just doing normal things, but like in so much pain. But thinking that's what I had to do. I go back for another x-ray 3 weeks later, and they're like, yeah, you need a full arm cast. I'm like, what do you mean they're like, oh yeah, it needs to be in a cast, Now I'm freaking out. My sister's wedding was in like 4 weeks from there. They're like, yeah, you'll get it off like maybe like the day before your wedding. I'm like, what do you fucking mean? Like, a cast? I was just in a cast. I don't understand. So I'm in this fucking bright pink cast for the rest of summer, which seemed so embarrassing. Still did a bunch of stuff. And then the first day of college, like an hour before my class, I went, and they're like, yeah, we'll take it off now. So they cut it off, but obviously when they cut it off, they like cut open into my skin. There's a scar somewhere, but they take that little saw and they're like doing it, and they're like, yeah, it won't hurt because it's not gonna touch you. But they dug too deep, and so it cut open my skin. I'm just like, fuck my life. Like, this whole scenario is just like the biggest disaster ever. And my whole arm is like flaky and dry, but like it was still tan, and it was still it wasn't like so skinny, because I thought this one was gonna be like tiny, skinny, pale, and you know, like I thought, but it wasn't. And so then I went to school and did everything, but like my arm, you know, it was still so stiff because it hadn't moved. Like, it's been so broken, so I can't do a lot of things, right? So I started going to physio, and I've been going to physiotherapy for like a while now. I don't even know how many months, probably like 4 months or so, around, because my arm wouldn't move, right? Like, normal arms move, like you could do whatever. This arm wouldn't move. It would go to like a 90-degree angle, and that's it. So I've been going for 4 months now, right? You'd think that it would be fine. Well, my arm can straighten, but that's as far as it'll go. And if you feel it, there's a lock. Like, it won't go any farther. That's it. And it's going to be like that for the rest of my life. This is my dominant arm. This is my arm I do everything with, and that's just what it is. If you see me do anything, you see me put on lip balm, it's like this. Like, it's awkward. Like, doing anything's awkward. I can, like, only do certain things. Like, it hurts, too. Like, it's stiff. It's sore. But that's just what my life is like now, because I decided to climb a 2-foot tall tree because I thought it was going to be so fun. I would have never thought that that's how I would ruin my fucking arm for the rest of my life, being 21 years old and in the Dominican climbing a fucking tree on the beach. I've done so many other dangerous things in my life. So many other dangerous things. Like, especially when I'm drunk. Are you kidding me? If I get drunk, I'm just like, wow, I'm the bravest woman in the world. I'll do anything, you know? Like, obviously, I go off with random people. I, like, do a bunch of random... I climb things. Like, I just don't have, like, a sense of... I don't have a brain. But I climbed a tree. I broke my arm the same night that I could have potentially been human trafficked. The only good thing is now I like wine. But, I mean... I'd rather just, like, not like wine and have a functioning arm, but, you know, it's fine. It's whatever. But, yeah, so that's my story about how I broke my arm and how I was almost human trafficked. But it's okay because, you know, I'm still here. I'm still fun. I'm still Carrie. I just probably, like, wouldn't climb a tree. Oh, it's getting so old, too. Whenever I see people and they, like, you know, they're saying bye to me, or if I'm going somewhere, it's always, don't climb a tree. Like, oh my god, that's so funny. Wow, thank you for telling me that. Like, that's fun. But, yeah, I guess if there was any... advice from this, it's just don't climb a tree. Also, always get health insurance, even if you don't think you need it. I think it's like $20. I really don't know why I didn't get it. Thanks for listening to my horrible story. Please be careful and don't climb trees. If you're gonna drink, if you're gonna go on vacation, just like lay down, relax, you know? Don't do it. Don't look at a tree, think it's climbable, and do it, because if you slip, you might lose your dominant hand, or your dominant arm. It's not worth it. Let me tell you that. It's not worth it. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.